little bit further up there into Rock County. Biggest threat with this going to be 68-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as quarter-sized hail. We've seen these thunderstorms kind of pulse up. A lot of the severe thunderstorm activity has been focused a little further to our west. But now with the thunderstorms up to the north, we're actually starting to get some outflow boundaries moving across parts of southern and south central Wisconsin. So that has interacted just a little bit with the environment that we have here across north central Illinois, meaning the higher instability and moisture to allow these thunderstorms to quickly ramp up. So again, our biggest threat with this storm primarily going to be that 60-mile-per-hour wind gust as well as that quarter-sized hail. Now this thunderstorm is moving to the northeast. It is moving very slowly at about 20 miles per hour. So areas that'll be impacted with this, you've got Rock Cut State Park, Rock Valley College, the Rivets baseball stadium there up in Loves Park and the Rockford Speedway. So up closer towards that Loves Park region. Let's take a little closer look at this particular thunderstorm. And as I mentioned before, it did have a little bit of a hail signature with it. We can see that here just to the east of the Roscoe area. So again, this may produce up to quarter-sized hail. And a lot of times with these thunderstorms, what we've seen is they've initially gone up. It's been more of a hail threat. So you may get pea nickel-sized up to quarter-sized hail. As that hail core drops, then it transitions into a wind threat. So far with any of the severe thunderstorms we had over Wisconsin and northwest Illinois, haven't had any reports come out, so that's a good thing, but nonetheless, you do want to take this warning seriously. So just east here of Roscoe, south of Elevator Road, that's where we're picking up on potentially that quarter-sized hail. When we look at that hail size, again, we may see this kind of uptick just a little bit. You've got just under that 1 inch, which is quarter-sized hail. So that'll be our biggest concern as that hail core drops, and we're looking at that wind potential. Now, with this, however, and with this thunderstorm kind of interacting just a little bit with an outflow boundary from some previous thunderstorms over Wisconsin, may have to watch potential for some of that to interact just a little bit. So may notice a couple funnel clouds. We're not looking at the potential for any tornadoes. That's not a concern with any of these storms as they move through, but just that interaction with that outflow boundary kind of enhancing that just a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if along that outflow boundary maybe we do see a couple reports of that, or maybe just one trying to form. But again, not concerned at all with any sort of tornado threat with this. This is primarily going to be that wind and hail potential. And again, this storm is moving to the northeast at about 20 miles per hour. Now, along with that wind and hail threat, we're also looking at that potential for some very heavy downpours. It is an extremely moisture-rich atmosphere outside, so we've got a lot of moisture by those higher dew point temperatures, and that's why it feels very muggy out there. So as those thunderstorms move through, they're going to be able to tap into that higher moisture and allow to produce some pretty significant downpours. So if we see any storms train, which I don't think we will necessarily with this particular storm, but as it kind of hooks on, latches a little bit onto that outflow boundary, we may see some additional development kind of fire up, maybe a little to the south as we get closer to the Rockford region, and then a little bit further to the southwest. So that could also pose a very heavy rain threat. So some ponding water on the roadways, not going to be out of the realm of possibility. So if you do encounter a roadway that does have water on it, you just want to make sure that you find another route. Additionally, we've been keeping an eye on some thunderstorms as these have been moving across northwest Illinois. Earlier, these did have a few severe thunderstorm warnings with them, but those warnings have been allowed to expire, and it's been primarily a heavy rain threat as these storms have become a little bit more outflow dominant. But right now, the only severe thunderstorm warning that we do have in place is for a portion here of Winnebago County as well as northwest Boone County, and this warning will go until 3:45. Again, 68-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as quarter-sized hail going to be our biggest threat with this. This storm is moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour, so it is not moving very fast. In fact, as we put a storm track on that, just so you can get kind of a general idea of where this thunderstorm will be heading and if it'll be moving closer into your neck of the woods, watch out for areas here as you get even a little bit further there into southeast Rock County. This storm is moving up towards the Roscoe area. Rockton, you may get hit with this just a little bit, but the higher hail core was just to the east of Roscoe. So I think we'll kind of see that move over portions here of northwest Boone County and then eventually into southeast Rock County where you have that hail threat. But again, as that hail core comes down, then we might transition over to a little bit more of a gustier wind threat with this, along with some heavier downpours. So here's just a rough idea and a rough timeline of of some of the areas that could be impacted with this. Still in the Poplar Grove region, I'd say heads up for you too. That storm may miss you just a little bit to the north and northwest, but you may get clipped on that. There's been a little bit of a wobble in some of the tracks of these storms, as there's not a lot of wind up aloft to really push it in one direction. So they have wobbled just a little bit. Currently, the storm is moving to the northeast, but we may see it kind of stall out a little bit or kind of shift a little bit further to the east. So just ahead.
And be sure.
North of Poplar Grove as that storm kind of works through. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail going to be the primary threat with this storm as that does move through your region. So running down the warning once again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning out for northeastern Winnebago County, northwestern Boone County until 3:45. The storm is moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail possible, along with some very heavy rainfall. We'll continue to keep an eye on these thunderstorms as that cold front works through. Isolated severe thunderstorms remain possible through about sunset. After that, things will start to quiet down. Any additional warnings, should those be issued, I'll be sure to jump right back on here on air as well as online. But for now, we return you back to regular programming.